The rain came down in sheets that night, turning the hospital windows into smeared mirrors. For Nurse Adwoa Mensah, it had been a 17-hour shift. She told herself it was the last double she'd ever pull, a promise she made every third Thursday. In room 412, her patient, 87-year-old Mr. Kofi, was resting. His lungs were like wet paper, but he was stubborn, always wanting Adwoa to explain why he needed his medicine. She was adjusting his oxygen when a low tremor rolled under her feet. A sharp snap echoed from the ceiling. The lights flickered and then plunged the room into a suffocating darkness. The backup generator was supposed to kick in within 7 seconds. Iti dada. Adwoa's phone flashlight cut through the blank. Instinct took over. Airway, breathing, circulation. Mr. Kofi's oxygen level was dropping fast. She switched him to a portable tank. 50 minutes of air left, maybe less if he panicked. "Stay with me, Papa K," she whispered, squeezing his wrist. "We're not done arguing yet." The hallway erupted into chaos. Shouts, running feet, the clang of crash carts, then a raw scream from the stairwell. The lifts were dead, and the emergency door was jammed. Adwoa grabbed the nearest crash cart. Inside, she found a portable suction unit, ambu bags, and the last 2 doses of adrenaline on the ward. She stuffed them into her pockets like a soldier loading ammunition. Her own heart hammered against her ribs. She hadn't eaten in hours, and her hands were shaking from adrenaline and exhaustion. But she pushed on. On the 3rd floor, 6 patients were on ventilators. When the power failed, she reached them to find 4 still alive. She and a first-year intern began manually bagging them, working in a silent, desperate rhythm. 1 and 2, and breathe. At 1:47 a.m., the ceiling above the nurses' station collapsed with a sound like a truck hitting the building. When the choking dust cleared, Adwoa saw the wreckage, and beneath it, half buried, was staff nurse Grace Apaku. Adwoa crawled forward. Grace had a thready pulse, and her breathing was shallow and wet. A collapsed lung. Adwoa tore open a sterile kit with her teeth, found a catheter, and felt for the space between Grace's ribs. With her own breath burning in her chest, she drove the needle in. A long hiss of air escaped, and Grace's chest rose more as color returned to her lips. Adwoa sat back on her heels, her scrubs soaked. She wiped something warm from her temple. Blood, a cut from the debris. It wasn't important. The lights were still out. Oxygen was running low. The pharmacy was locked, but people were still breathing because she kept moving. At 3:12 a.m. a fire crew broke through. They brought headlamps, portable ventilators, and most importantly, extra hands. Adwoa handed over the ambu bag she'd been squeezing for nearly an hour, her forearms cramping so badly she could barely open her fingers. She slid down the wall outside Mr. Kofi's room. He was still alive, his oxygen level holding steady. She had won that small war. Someone draped a blanket over her shoulders. A young firefighter crouched in front of her. "You, the one who did the needle decompression?" he asked. Adwoa nodded. "You're bleeding pretty bad. You know that." She touched her head again. "More red. A lot more." "Still got patience," she said, her voice sounding borrowed. "Not anymore," he said gently. "You did the heavy lifting. Let us take it from here." They carried her out on a stretcher. She was too tired to refuse. The rain had stopped. As they put an oxygen mask on her face, she closed her eyes. Later, she would hear that she had coded twice in the ambulance. She didn't remember it. She only remembered the feeling of Mr. Kofi's stubborn pulse. 31 hours later, she woke up in the ICU. The first thing she saw was Grace, sitting by her bed, arm in a sling. Grace looked at her with tired, grateful eyes. "You still owe me that argument," she said, "about whether Mr. Kofi should get the last slice of kinky." Adwoa tried to laugh, but it came out as a wheeze. "Tell him," she managed, "to save it for me." Outside, the sun was rising over the city. She had almost not made it. But she did. And for heroes like Nurse Adwoa Mensah, that is always enough. Thank you for watching. If you were moved by this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more.